know what it do, it's your boy J. Lou, and you are just in time for something new. Alright, now in today's video, what I wanted to do is make a brief explanation video in regards to what does it mean to complete your wave pattern. There's a lot of people that typically throw this phrase around, and nowadays the expectations are unrealistic of what completing your pattern is supposed to be. You know, typically when people say that kind of stuff, they basically mean that you got to be flawless before you cut your waves, before you shift, before you decide to scalp or do anything, right? But to be honest with you guys, there's not a lot of people that I've known personally that's walking around with flawless looking waves. There's only been two people that I've been able to see that have flawless waves. The first person is Wavy Long Way. He used to make YouTube videos and stuff like that. And then the second person that I know of is this dude named Ricardo. I believe his last name was Gomez. You know what I'm saying? They used to call him Hurricane Gomez. This dude's swirl, hands down, was one of the best swirls I ever seen. You know, but they got other people that you probably will feel that had a flawless pattern. But I'm talking about, when I say flawless, I mean they had absolutely no forks. Everything went straight to the crown, or whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying? So they got some people that try to claim that, but then they won't show you an angle that they hit, and in the back angle they got 2 or 3 forks, or whatever the case is, or they just try to tilt their head in certain ways to make it look like they got flawless looking waves. But I figured I'd show you guys what it would mean to me when it comes to completing your pattern. So with that being said, let me show you what the waves looking like, man, because I feel like I've completed this pattern. Let me go ahead and unrag. Alright, now as you can see, this is my left side of my pattern. You know what I'm saying? Now my left side of my pattern influenced me to want to go back to 360s, because every time I unrag and I look at it, it just looks so amazing, you know. But when you look at my left side, you can clearly see that the connections are all smooth. I don't have a lot of breaks or forks in my pattern. Some people will probably say this stuff is right here, but that's being stupid and petty, bro. Like, when you really look at it, there's not any forks or anything of that nature. And then sometimes what happens is because of glasses, that tends to run the issue whenever you have waves. So what I try to do is I take my glasses off and I brush with my contacts in. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to my left side, that whole side is flawless. It's not a single fork on that side. And then when I transition to the top, as you guys can see, the transition to the top, there's no forks in regards to the top of my waves, right? But the forks come into picture. Like, if you look at everything, there's absolutely no forks in my waves, right? Now, the forks come into picture when you start looking into my crown. And when I mean a fork, I basically mean when the waves collide and clash. Now, previously, before I got this chop, and shout out to my boy 180 Wavy Baby, Clyde Dancy, that's his name. He's the father of 180 Wavy Baby. I'll make sure I put a link to the video of him chopping my hair up. That was one thing that I wish I could have focused a lot more on. Like I told you guys previously, I was trying to focus because I had a messed up section right here in my waves, because I was doing this old brush technique to show you guys that stuff doesn't work. And basically, I went back to my old way of brushing, of swirling and hooking basically doing my pivot technique. And I'll make sure I put a link to that video right above here to show you how I was able to fix those waves to make sure that all of them went directly into my crown. Now, when you look at my back waves as well, my back waves are flawless. You know what I'm saying? You don't see any kind of forks within my back waves. Now, the definition may not be the most impressive definition that you've probably ever seen, but when it comes to the left, top, and so far the back, it's all flawless. Now, when you look at my right side is flawless as well. So whenever I look at my waves and people be saying stupid stuff like, "Oh man, your waves is trash," I'm like, bro, everybody's always working towards a goal. Like, why not and try to encourage somebody or teach somebody something that can help them? And that's really what I try to do with my channel, because at the end of the day, when I start shifting, people can come to my channel the next day and be like, "Man, your waves look trash." But I'm like, bro, You clearly haven't seen how my waves look right now. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that I'm not satisfied with my pattern on is the fact that my waves in this area, they don't go directly into my crown. But with that being said, when I say I completed a pattern, what I mean by that is I've had every single side of my waves flawless, which means I didn't have any forks on them at one point in time. Now, at this point in time, my top, left, right, and my back are all flawless, but the waves going into my crown are not flawless. There was a time period where my waves going into my crown was flawless. I could do that. I know how to do that because I did it already. But my thing is, like I told you guys, I focus on teaching people how to get waves and how to do stuff like that. If you want to truly have a flawless pattern, go ahead and do that. That's never been my goal. I never cared about that. Honestly, it can take the fun out of waving because you constantly, whenever I had 720s, I was constantly chasing perfection. I really did want to be the first person with flawless 720s. And it gets to a point to where whenever you have a swirl pattern, it feels like you're constantly chasing the wind, because if you fix one fork and those waves are swirling in that direction, it's like you're basically pushing the fork around your head and around your head and around your head. It is very difficult. And that's one reason why I made this video right here explaining why 720s is the most difficult pattern ever in the wave game. So at the 720s, I wasn't surprised that this pattern that I have right now, the Trinity Hybrid, has less forks. I think I would say I probably have 2 forks on my pattern just because of how the waves clash into my crown area, like I said. But long story short, this is what I mean when I say completing a wave pattern. You don't have to have every single side perfect. If you feel like, you know what, man, I have my left, my top, my back, my right, my crown perfect at one point in time, but it's difficult for me to get them all together, why hold yourself to a standard that's unrealistic? You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to show y'all a document because typically I don't. I'll typically get to the point to where I have like maybe 2 or 3 forks in my pattern and I'm like, it's time to cut. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it answers some questions. And like I said, I don't want to make this too long, but it's your boy J. Lou. Salute!
Now when it come to getting waves, they call me the Don. A light-skinned legend cause I shine like the sun. I brush them to the left, I brush them to the right. But if I had to talk down, I'ma knock them out of sight. Never chasing the bag, but I stay getting paid. And I don't need a do-rag to keep my waves laid.